saying goes, actions speak louder than words, but inaction also speaks louder than words, and that's what we're dealing with right now. I'm sure I'm going to anger a lot of you with what I'm about to say. Those of you still clinging to your illusions, please trust me when I say I don't care. Where we're at right now, you're either for the children or against the children. My name is Shelly Carter. I have been the adoptive mom of Allison Carter for almost 16 years. Allie was raised as a child sex slave, beginning at the age of 3 months old, according to the CPS reports that I have in my possession. I posted those online. We are just coming off one of the worst smear and slander campaigns against us that I've ever witnessed. It was an attempt to silence Allie and to discredit me. I have literally had every accusation imaginable thrown my way. So believe me when I say, your anger over what I'm about to say won't faze me or shake me in the least. Your response will show me if you stand for or against the children. However, it is my deepest hope that after you lash out at me, you will take a moment to reflect on what I'm saying, reflect who I am saying it for, and reflect on why I'm saying it now. Allie was raised in child sex slavery in the United States to be a sex slave to the elite. From infancy, she was sex trafficked, used in satanic bloodletting and sex magic rituals. To be trafficked at that level requires MK Ultra programming, which ties to our U.S. government and the CIA. Allie has MK Ultra programming. From the MK Ultra programming, she has over 200 altars that I've documented. I believe it's closer to 300 or 400. The MK Ultra programming was created in the dark shadows of our military by people with evil intent and at the guidance of the Black Panther's bloodline that she was born into. She was programmed as a child to sexually service and feed the evil, greed, and fetishes of the elite we all idolize. My fight began 16 years ago for her safety and for her healing, and for the justice for her and for every child and survivor that experienced the same things she did. As it stands, in the United States, conservatively speaking, 8 million children go missing a year. Add to that the 350,000 children missing from the U.S. border who are being trafficked as we speak. You may not understand what that level of fear, pain, and torture look like in the eyes of a child, but I do. I've seen it every day. I've seen it every hour of every day in each of the 200 of Allie's altars that come up in various stages of fear, pain, torture, and trauma. If you are a parent, I shouldn't have to explain the urgency to you that we as humans should feel to our very core that we need to solve this problem quickly and by any means necessary. If we cannot protect and care for our children, what is the point of anything else? I am disgusted and angry at the inaction of our new officials, tasked with the responsibility of bringing justice for the children. I've not seen urgency in them, but I have seen attempts to gaslight and placate the public. Pamela Bondi, Allie has given you express, verbal, and written permission to unredact her name in the child porn, ledgers, and the documents you possess from her time at the islands, from her time at Diddy's freak-off and white parties, from the numerous visits she was taken to at the Playboy Mansion, from her being trafficked over state lines to Snoop Dogg's 2009 concert in State Line, Nevada, from Oprah Winfrey's house, from being trafficked to Joe Biden's party under the Getty, from being trafficked to Obama, from being trafficked to Michelle, and from hundreds of other buyers listed on the ledgers that you seem determined to keep from the public. Shame on you. You countered Allie's public request to unredact her name, stating you, and I quote, would be keeping survivors' names redacted for their safety. I wonder how Virginia feels about your concern for her safety. I'll tell you how I feel. I, Allie's mom, am doing everything in my power to keep Allie safe, while you're doing everything in your power to keep the buyers of children safe. We are not the same. Am I really to believe in the last 90 days that you could not release information on a single child sex slave buyer? It has been 90 days since you promised to release the Epstein buyers the following day. That was a lie. You said the files were on your desk. That was also a lie. You said there was a truckload of documents and ledgers, but there were only 100 to 200 survivors. That is also a lie. There are thousands and thousands of survivors that span decades, some living and some dead. We, the American people, are disgusted and exhausted by the games and the lack of urgency coming from your office regarding the children. No one asked you to give a timeline on the release of the information. You volunteered that on your own, and then you lied to every child and survivor when you failed to keep your promise. You broke trust with the American public as your first course of action. You did that. I'm just calling it out. I see your urgency to address and report on every other issue. Kesh Patel, when you stepped into your role as director of the FBI, you walked into a cesspool of corruption. Things like MK Ultra programming that created slaves out of human beings that were later trafficked because of the MK Ultra. I had hoped against hope that you would do what you said and be transparent and clean out the corruption at the FBI. I've not seen any evidence of that. The chaos and confusion that you participated in with Bondi over the Epstein files, whether they were a file folder that was on her desk, whether it was a truckload of tens of thousands of videos and ledgers coming from your office to hers, you've created chaos and confusion, and that reeks of corruption on your part. To add insult to injury, you and your sidekick went on live TV to tell the people that Epstein committed suicide, telling the American public your opinion on something is not transparency. True transparency would be you showing the Epstein files, unredacting the autopsy reports, unredacting any investigative information, and releasing it to the public so we could see it for ourselves. That's what transparency is, and you are not doing any of that. So I have to ask myself, why would the new director of the FBI be covering up and hiding and shielding the buyers on the Epstein list? Why would the head of the DOJ, the Attorney General, why would she be hiding, covering up, stalling for the information of people that are buying children for sex slavery? 30 years ago, I was a sheep, and I would have believed everything coming out of your mouth. But 16 years ago, I became the mom of a survivor, and I can see through the bullshit because I see how deep the corruption goes. The most foolish thing that I could be doing right now is calling out to the Attorney General of the United States and the Director of the FBI. That's a death sentence. I understand that, but I also understand the depth of corruption. I also understand the evil that's being done to our children, and I would rather stand boldly and maybe even foolishly for the children's sake than to sit silently and let it continue. As long as there's breath in my lungs, I will continue to stand up to the highest officials on behalf of the children. Anybody, I don't care who you are or what position you hold, that is aiding and abetting buyers of children, sex slave traders, should be held accountable to the same punishment. President Trump, will you please audit your people that are in charge of the Epstein list, that are in charge of the Diddy list, and that are supposed to be acting on behalf of the children, because I've not seen an ounce of urgency. I've not seen an ounce of transparency in any of them. To the rest of America, I will continue to stand for the children. I will continue to be a voice for the children and the survivors, even if it costs me my life. But I am asking you to raise your voices with me, because this is on our watch. This is our responsibility. God bless.